Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a very extensive declutter. I went through the entirety of my makeup collection, every single category, and I decided it was time to remove the items that were things I wasn't enjoying, things I wasn't looking forward to using up, and honestly, some products that were expired and very, very old. I'm definitely feeling very refreshed. I'm feeling really invigorated and excited to use my collection as it stands now. I think it is so perfectly curated at this point. Of course, it is a little large for my preferences, but everything that I have now left in my collection is stuff that I'm genuinely excited to use, wanting to use up and wanting to pan in due time. And that feels so good to me. I have no desire to go out and kind of replace the items that I did end up decluttering, but in fact, I'm just left feeling like this was such a good decision for me to kind of have the collection that makes me feel the happiest. I know this is a long one, so definitely grab a snack or a glass of wine. I will leave in the description box the timestamps if you're interested in seeing very specific categories. But yeah, that is everything. Let's hop right on into it. So let's get started with the primers. The ones I know I want to keep for sure are these ones. This is the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Primer. So there's very little left in here. It's right down to the bottom of the squeeze tube. So I definitely want to keep this one. And then I also want to keep this one kind of for the same reasons. This is nearly empty as well. This is the Pores Be Gone Matte Primer. I think I could finish this summer because I'm down to about here or so. I got some really good progress on this last summer and I think I could polish it off this summer. I'm going to be decluttering this. I've had this in my collection since I think early 2020 or mid 2020 and I hardly get any use out of it. This is the Catrice Prime and Fine Anti-Red Primer. This in theory would be really good, but I just have no practical use for a green primer like this. I've kept it in my collection thinking that I would use it for times when I have a rash or maybe a sunburn, but realistically, I just don't put makeup on during those times. So I do want to declutter this one. So these two right here are why I'm on a glowy primer no buy. I have the Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow here. It is really nice and I can't seem to part with it, even though I do have the Vesca, which is quite comparable, but I do want to keep both of these. And actually, I'm starting to question if I should consider the Auric Glow Lust as a primer as well in my collection, which means I have three very comparable glowy primers. Even though I have an excess in this category, I don't want to part with any of them. So I'm gonna keep all three of these. Oh my goodness. The Too Faced Hangover, I will be keeping. I love mixing this with foundations to make them into my own tinted moisturizers. And this Fenty one, I have had it for about a year, but I do think I want to keep testing it, especially once I do finish that First Aid Beauty one. I think this would make a good alternative to that. Here are all my foundations and tinted moisturizers. This category is really overwhelming for me, and I have put myself on a base products no buy for this very reason. But I am ready to part with a few of these that have been in my collection since about 2018, 2019, and they just haven't gotten any use because I'm not drawn to them. This is the Becca Skin Love Weightless Blur Foundation. I can't get on with this anymore. I used to think this was such a beautiful foundation. It used to look amazing on my skin, but I've had it open since, I want to say 2018, which is just so sad, or maybe 2019. But either way, far too long, and I'm noticing that it just looks very heavy, cakey, and it falls into my lines very, very significantly. So this is unfortunately one that I believe is expired, so it will be getting decluttered. I also want to declutter this. It is just so old. This is the Smashbox Studio Skin 15-Hour Wear Foundation. And yeah, I've just had it for many years. And last year I had it in my 30 by 30 project pan, but it didn't leave a really amazing impression on me. I just used it in that project because I had decided it was time to focus on it. And I would rather be using foundations that I adore on my skin, and this is just not one of those. So this one here, the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue, I have talked about this ad nauseum. This is just my tried and true absolute favorite in my collection, so it's definitely staying with me. I also adore this one, the NYX Born to Glow. This is a really great foundation that has like kind of a medium coverage. So when I'm looking for a little bit more on my skin, like a little bit more perfecting, this is a perfect option for me. So I'm gonna keep this for sure. Same with the Oma. I just find that this is such a perfecting foundation. This is the Say What. And I just love to get some more use out of this summer. This color is a little deep for me right now. This one from ColourPop is the No Filter Sticks. I've had this in my life for so long, but I have made really great progress on it in the last few months, maybe 6 months or so. You can see there's very little left in here, so I'm gonna keep this and hopefully get it used up. I think I could get it out of my life maybe by the middle of the year, if not shortly after that, because I will dig into it. I love using this as a concealer. This one here I find I can use in a very similar way to the ColourPop one. This is the Merit Stick. And I like to use this as a concealer or as an all-over base product. Not a ton of product in here, so I don't feel overwhelmed with the idea of eventually trying to finish this off. So I'm gonna be keeping this. I think it looks beautiful on the skin. It's very lightweight. I'm gonna keep both of these. I know the ColourPop is one that I might end up decluttering a bit later on this year. I wanna keep using it, however, for the next little while. I love the way that this looks on my skin for the most part, but there is something that I just don't entirely love about it, but I'm not ready to part with it yet, weirdly enough. And then this is a kind of tinted moisturizer serum foundation. This is a Hydroflex from Tarte. I used this last summer only once, and I know I can finish it off this summer. The color is a little bit too deep for me right now, but I know I can finish it this summer, and I plan on doing that. And I have one last Tarte foundation. I'm really undecided on this concealer. I have been trying it out recently here and there, and sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks really bad, like really, really bad, very textured. I have had this in my life for so long, and I have found myself only recently kind of really wanting to reach for it and try it simply to decide if I was going to declutter it or not. And that's kind of an indication that it doesn't really add value to my collection or to my routine. So I am actually gonna part with this. I've had this since about 2019 as well. For concealers, I'm down to just 3. This one I'm keeping for sure. This is the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. I'd love to try to finish this summer because this color is a little bit too deep for me at the moment, but it does suit me very nicely in the summer, so I'd like to finish it off then. This Oma one is even deeper than that. I picked out definitely the wrong color in this one, but this is the Stay Woke Concealer. I love the texture of this, and I can make it work, so I'm gonna hold on to this one as well. But I am going to declutter this. Very similar to that Catrice primer that's green. I just haven't found there actually is a need for this in my routine. Decluttering that for sure. For face powders, I only have 4, and I will be keeping all 4. I have 2 loose and 2 pressed, and this is plenty for me right now, but it's not too excessive. This Milani one is one that I think I can finish off this summer because this color is a little bit too deep for me right now, but I repressed it recently and I'm looking forward to using this up and then using this one kind of in the meantime before the summer. This is the Essence Color Correcting one. I did repress this a long time ago. It actually used to be like a mosaic of colors. Now it's just a white. I don't love this by any means, but it works perfectly fine, so I'll be keeping that. The Peach Perfect is nearly done for my project pan, and then I will move on to the Revolution Lace. They're very comparable in terms of tone and texture and feeling on the skin, so I want to keep both of these so that once this is done, I just move on to using this. For setting sprays, I only have 2, and I will be keeping both of them. This Giovanni Facial Prime and Setting Mist is nearly empty. I'm down to about this point in the bottle, so I'm gonna be keeping this and polishing this off in the coming months. I really can't tell how much is in here, but I think I should be able to finish this off, so I will be keeping my Cover FX High Performance Setting Spray as well. Here are all of my cream blushes, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna keep every single one of these except for this right here. This is the Ciate Dewy Blush Glossy Cheek Tint in the shade Coconut. It tells you exactly what it is. It's very glossy and it's very much a tint of color. I used this in my Partners in Cream project pan last year, and I just never found it was something that I particularly enjoyed reaching for, so I am going to be decluttering this. This is just a sample of the Danessa Myricks Vision Flush. I'm really excited to bust into this and give this a try at some point soon, I'm hoping. And yeah, really excited about all these fun colors right here, so I'm definitely gonna keep that. This Merit one is so pretty, and I really enjoy this texture. I think it's just a better version of a kind of more glossy tint versus the Ciate one. It has a little bit more pigmentation, and it's definitely not sticky glossy like the Ciate. I prefer this most definitely over that. I adore this melt. This is the Golden Hour Cream Blush Light. Such a beaut. Look at that freaking color. I adore this. Love my Mauve Cream blushes. This texture is perfect because it's a little bit stiff, so it provides a lot of a long wear kind of finish. And I just love this so much. As I'm going through all these, this is one that I don't love actually either. This is the NYX Bear With Me Hemp Jelly Cheek Color, and I like the idea of this color. It's like a bright, vibrant orange, but I cannot get the swing of how to make this work on my skin. I don't find myself wanting to reach for it because, you know, you can pick up way too much product. It's very, very pigmented. So you know what? I think I'm gonna declutter this. I would just rather use the other ones that I've shown you so far, and then these next three as well. The Flower Beauty Blush Balm. I've had this for absolutely years and I still love it to this day. This color is a beautiful kind of neutral color. This is the shade Nectar. I don't think I'll ever be able to finish this up, and my panning mindset doesn't like that idea, but I want to continue using it while the texture still seems to be pretty good and the performance is great still. This little Milk Makeup Cream Blush in the shade Work was a Sephora gift and I really enjoy it. I want to continue using it. This little Bite one here was a Point Perk, I believe, from Sephora many years ago. There really isn't much in here. This is the Multi-Stick in the shade Cashew. This is my kind of color for sure for a cheek and lip kind of product. So I'd love to get some more use out of this summer and hopefully finish it off pretty soon too. These are my powder blushes. So I already have all those creams and I have all of this variety for powders outside of face palettes. So I'll go through my face palettes after. You can see I kind of have a type, like this Nabla one here, this Charlotte Tilbury, and the Essence Satin Touch blush. They're all very comparable. I love these all in their own right, and I will be keeping all three of these. This e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in the shade Always Fiery is one that just doesn't really work for my skin tone. I love this in theory. I thought it was such a fun color, a unique option for my collection, but it just does not work for my skin tone. I don't find myself wanting to reach for this, even though it looks so fun. It just isn't something that kind of suits my skin tone or my preferences. So I'm gonna be decluttering this one and I'm gonna hold on to this. This is just a little eyeshadow. It's a number 7 Stay Perfect eyeshadow in the shade Moroccan Sands, but I use this as a blush. I love this. This texture, this finish is so pretty on the cheeks, so I will be keeping this one as well. Moving into cream bronzers, I only have 3 products. The first one being the Hello Fab Bendy Avocado Concealer. Actually, this is in the shade 6. I use this as a foundation mixer. I think I should be able to finish this up this summer. It's very old, so I'd like to hold on to it and get it used up this year. And then I have the Oma Beauty Double Take. This is actually a highlighter and a bronzer, and I love both of these products. This texture is so nice, so I will be keeping this. Additionally, I will be keeping my Milk Makeup matte bronzer in the shade Baked. I always get tripped up on what the name is, but this product is just a favorite of mine. I love using this, so I definitely will not be passing it up until it expires. There's far too much product in here for me to actually finish it up, but I will use it until I cannot use it anymore. So here are all of my individual pans of powder bronzer. I do have some in face palettes as well, but I'm just going to start with the ones I know I'm decluttering. This I've had in my life for freaking forever, and I don't find myself compelled to reach for this ever. This is a contour powder. I do not contour. This is from the ABH Contour Kit. This is the shade Fawn. I bought that kit back in 2017. I don't find myself wanting to reach for it, so it's time to get rid of it. It's been 5 freaking years that I've had it in my life. I'm also gonna be decluttering this, the Revolution Vivid Baked Bronzer in the shade Golden Days. It's okay, but I don't love that the packaging is busted on it. It's so annoying to reach for this. But it also has this sheen that I just don't find very flattering actually. It kind of leaves a weird kind of cast on my skin. I used this in my 30 by 30 project pan last year, and you know, it was okay to bronze with, but I'd just rather be using something I love than this. This was also a bronzer in my 30 by 30 project pan last year, the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder bronzer in the shade Tawny. It's just far too deep for me. It is a good matte bronzer formula. It does glide onto the skin very nicely, and I thought I would hold on to this to use it like on my legs and stuff, but I just don't feel compelled to reach for this ever. So I am just going to be simply decluttering this, and yeah, I won't look back. I'm not gonna miss this, I know that for sure. But I am gonna keep all 3 of these. These are 3 of my favorite bronzer formulas, so I'm really happy that I'm down to these ones that really work for me very well. The Becca Sunlit Bronzer in the shade Capri Coast. I recently hit pan on this. I love it. The Vesca one is currently in my project pan, and I want to try to hit pan on it this year, and I can imagine I'll be able to do that no problem because this is such a easy to wear formula. And then the Butter Bronzer, I already have very, very significant progress on this. Here are all of my liquid / cream highlighting kinds of products. We already did go over the Auric, which I've moved into my primer category, and then we also went over the Oma Stick, which we talked about during the bronzers. I'll definitely be keeping this Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight. I'm nearly done with this. It's a focus in my project pan, so I'm gonna keep it to finish it up this coming month, I think. I think I should be close to done with it by my next update. I definitely want to keep this as well. I'm really excited to use this summer. This is the Merit Beauty Bounce. This is such a pretty kind of soft pink shade, and it really does bounce the light. I feel like that's the perfect name for it. I am going to be decluttering this one, however. I just don't feel any kind of compulsion to reach for this. I don't really feel like I want to reach for this over other products from my collection. This is the e.l.f. Targeted Natural Glow Stick in the shade Fresh Morning Dew. It just really kind of looks like grease, like oil or sweat on the face. And I'd much rather use something that has a little bit more pigment to it and an actual like sheen versus just a gloss, if that makes sense. So I am going to be decluttering this one. I'll definitely be holding on to both of these. These are great to wear as kind of like a glowy primer, even though we know I don't need any more of those, as well as a foundation mixer or as a standalone highlight on the skin, like bare skin or with foundation. This is the Josie Marin Argan Enlightenment Illuminizer here, and this one is the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops in the shade Moonlight, and they both are just mini, so I want to try to finish these up sooner rather than later. I think I can do that if I just focus my energy on both of them, so I want to keep them. And then this one is new to my collection. I got this from the Melt Mystery Box, which was a Christmas gift. This is the shade Fetish in the Melt Sex Foil Digital Liquid Highlight. It is very pink, very, very pink. It actually turns out more pink on the skin than I think it looks in the bottle. I tried wearing it recently on like my chest to see if it was something I could wear for like, I don't know, summer nights. I don't know if I really love the way that it like reflects the light and that kind of pinky shift that it has to it. I don't really think I have anyone in my life who would enjoy this, so I'm gonna hold on to it and try to find a way to really like it. Maybe it would look good mixed with some of my cream and liquid blushes. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it probably could offer a really good mixer. All right. Powder highlights. Again, there are more of these in various palettes, which we're gonna go through next, but I know for sure I wanna keep this Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy highlight. It is just so pretty. It's such a great golden tone. I find that it just looks so beautiful on the skin, and I love it as an inner corner highlight. I know it's so excessive to keep a big pan like this as an inner corner highlight, but there's something about this that's different than any other golden eyeshadow that I have in my collection. Love it. Definitely keeping that one. Definitely also keeping the Vesca Beauty highlight in the shade Wish. This is a stunning soft golden shade that I really enjoy and I want to reach for more this year, so definitely holding on to this. This is nearly done and I know I can finish it up this summer, or I hope and dream that I can finish it up this summer. This is a ColourPop Super Shock Cheek in the shade Blow Me Out. There's very little remaining in here and I definitely think it's something that I can work my way through in a short period of time. Really enjoy this texture quite a lot. This is one that I'm also going to be keeping, the Physicians Formula Butter Blush. I categorize it as a highlight in my collection, even though it's technically a blush. It just gives my skin a perfect sheen, and you can see I've made a massive dent in it, so I will be trying to finish that up. Mary Lou is staying in my collection too, even just for nostalgic reasons. I can't remember if I bought this as my very first highlight or if I bought MAC Soft and Gentle before it, but either way, I bought them like within a couple months span of each other, and I just fell in love with highlighter because of this particular formula. And yeah, I'm gonna keep it. One day I might finish it. I might never finish it, but I just love her. Let's talk about these melt ones. This is the Stargazer highlight. This is a really beautiful soft highlighter. It's very impactful in terms of like the shine on the skin, but it looks very soft in terms of the tone. It doesn't have major base pigment. It blends into my complexion very well. So I'm gonna keep this. I know, I'm not parting with any of these. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? This next one is the Pink Moon highlight. This is also a digital dust highlighter from Melt. This is very similar to that liquid highlight actually, in the fact that I don't really think I'd be able to find anyone in my life who would want to use this. Yeah, for now I'm gonna keep it just because I don't want to throw this away. I just don't want to do that yet. I think I will be decluttering this right here. This is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. I've reached for this a few times recently and I don't like the way that this looks on my skin anymore. It is very old. I've had it for many years. I believe I bought it back in 2017, I want to say, or even 2016. It's too far back to remember when I bought it. I'm not impressed with it anymore. There's something about it that has a weird kind of base pigment possibly. I'm not sure. It just doesn't really give me what I want anymore, I guess. And then this Melt one here is a green highlighter actually. I don't know if you can see the shift there, but it's like a white highlighter with a green shift. And although this isn't one that I'll wear on an everyday basis or often at all, I do think this is kind of fun to have in my collection, especially because I love my green eyeshadow look, so I can kind of play off of the green looks with this green highlighter. This is the shade Shadow Play. And then this right here is the Catrice Sungasm Face and Body Highlighter. I got this in PR in 2020 and I really enjoy this actually. I know it looks like I haven't used it very much, but I didn't use it at all in 2021 and I really wish that I had. So this summer I'm definitely going to be pulling this out and using this on the face and body, just like I use all my other highlighters on the face and body. But yeah, I do want to actually keep this because I think this looks really beautiful. It's just a sheen. Let's chat about this little pile right here of face palettes. This is where the remaining blushes, bronzers, and highlights from my collection belong. This Aether Beauty Rose Quartz palette is one that's currently in my project pan, so I will be keeping it. I've been really enjoying reaching for these tones recently. This Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow duo has been in my life for forever. I am not ready to part with it yet, even though I kind of harp on this product just because the lack of shade range is just atrocious to me. It's so just disappointing, but I don't know why I'm not ready to part with it, so I'm gonna keep this. This e.l.f. Illuminating Palette is one that I really enjoy. You can see I have pretty significant pan on this shade right here. I'm definitely gonna keep this and keep loving on it for, I think, years to come. It's really pretty. This Shared Planet one is one that unfortunately I think I'm ready to declutter. I just have not gotten the use out of this that I wish I would have at this point, and you can see these shades are just not really that wearable. There's this bright blue, Coral Reef is a like kind of red tone, and Lagoon is a green, but it's not as like refined as that Melt green. These two are nice natural colors, but as you saw, I have so many highlighters and this just isn't one that's doing anything for me. So I oftentimes forget to reach for it. It's very bulky. I did accept this as PR back in 2020 and I shouldn't have done so, knowing that I just wouldn't reach for these as highlighters. They could make decent eyeshadows, but I have a very hefty eyeshadow collection, so I just don't need this. So I will be passing this one along. I think it's finally time to part ways with this Makeup Geek palette. I've had this for freaking forever. I think I bought this in 2017, so it's approaching 5 full years of it being in my collection. This is a Kathleen Lights collaboration, and I didn't go into this thinking I would get rid of this, but I just think it's time. With the excessive amount of highlighters that I have, I know that this is one that I'm not going to reach for over the other ones because I don't like this pink shade at all. I don't find this flattering at all on me. This is okay, but I feel like I kind of have this golden tone over and over again. And then this bronzy one is a beautiful bronzer topper, but it just isn't a necessity for me anymore. I would only use this because I would kind of force myself to use it. And I'm not doing that with makeup anymore. I'm going to part with this too. This is a Mob Beauty palette that contains 6 eyeshadows as well as 3 face products. So I've got a highlighter, a bronzer, and a blush. I much prefer this pinky toned highlighter over the one that's in the Makeup Geek. This is such a beautiful, like kind of rose gold, rose bronze kind of tone. This bronzer is probably the deepest bronzer I have in my collection now, which is a much better tone than that ABH tawny bronzer, way better. It's not as red. And then this is one of the deepest blushes, but again, it's kind of in that same color story that I love, or color family rather, that I absolutely love. That's like slightly bronzy based, natural kind of look. I will be keeping all of those. By the way, the blush is called M19, the bronzer is called M37, and the highlighter is M49. Here I have all of my current brow products, so 5 different options. Soap brow, a brow pen, 2 brow gels, 1 clear and 1 colored, and a brow pomade. And then I have 3 mascaras, all of which are the Bite Beauty Upswing. I just opened this one recently. Not going to be decluttering any of these. I feel like this isn't too excessive, and I enjoy all of these. Of course, I really like this formula. That's why I have multiples, so don't want to get rid of this. And this offers me lots of variety for my brows. These are both also categories that I don't feel compelled to declutter at all. My eye primers, I just have these 3 right here, 1 glitter glue and 2 regular. 1 is clear and 1 is tinted, so no desire to get rid of any of those. They offer me tons of variety. And then these are like my cream and liquid eyeshadows, one being my Auric Entice Duo. I also have a powder eyeshadow in here, but I'm definitely gonna keep this, definitely gonna keep this Cover FX. It's so close to done. I'm like, considering decluttering it, but it's so close to done that I would love to see this in my empties as a liquid eyeshadow empty. So definitely gonna hold on to this and just polish the rest of this off. The Elf and J Kissa Suki to My Heart Duo is a great kind of glitter option for me. I don't have any glitters in any other way, so it's a good option for me and my personal collection. The Vesca Moonlit Dream eyeshadow is just a favorite, so pretty. Lastly, I have these 2 Danessa Myricks Color Fix mattes. One is Carrot Top and the other one is Lift. They're both just matte formulas and so amazing. I'm kind of tempted to pick up more of these, but not anytime soon, seeing as I have all of this selection right here for different kind of colors and finishes. But yeah, I won't be decluttering anything from these 2 categories. So here's my selection of gel liners, liquid liners, and pencil liners, as well as a kind of chubby eyeshadow stick. However, I use this as a eyeliner. I am basically gonna keep all of these. This Melt potted eyeliner is so pretty. It's like a Dijon mustard kind of color, and I just love it. I think it's so fun to play with. I think it's such a great tone. So I'm definitely gonna be keeping that. I will be keeping both of these because it gives me some variety for liquid liner. One is a black, this is the ZC eyeliner. I think I should be able to finish this year because unfortunately, even though I only really recently opened it up at the very beginning of this year, it is already kind of getting dry. It's not the most like rich and pigmented formula, but I wore it today to kind of put it to the test, and I think it still works decently well. And then the ColourPop liquid liner in the shade BFF. I should be able to also try to finish this off this year, I think, because I've had it open for a couple of years now, but it's really pigmented and it still seems to be holding up pretty well so far. So holding on to both of these. And then that leaves me with the kind of pencil eyeliners. Some of these I believe are starting to dry out, so I do have to kind of go through these, but this first one here is a Milani Stay Put eyeliner. I don't know if you can tell if I put it closer to the camera, but this pencil is actually smaller than the pencil component itself. It's completely dried up. It doesn't deposit much color at all. And it's actually very annoying to try to wear this. It doesn't deposit any color in the waterline. It just tugs a lot. So I do have to declutter this one, which is unfortunate. I used up so much of this. I wish that I had kind of prioritized it previously, but it's just not working anymore. So it's time to say goodbye. I do have these 2 that are very, very comparable. I don't believe that Dose makes this anymore, but this is the Maybe Baby eyeliner. Gorgeous deep green shade. Let me swatch it because I want to see what it looks like compared to the, oh no. I want to see what this looks like compared to the Annabelle, but it doesn't seem to want to twist up. I'm trying to spin this and it actually is not coming out of the pencil, which is so frustrating. So I guess I have to declutter that. It literally will not budge. Ugh, that's frustrating. So I'm gonna get rid of that one. And then this is the Annabelle Waterline Matte. This is one that I think is starting to dry up too. Yeah, you can see it's not depositing a lot of color. So I'm gonna be decluttering this because this is going to tug on my eyes. You can see it's not nice and creamy and effortless. So I'm going to declutter that one. This orange is really nice, but I wanna make sure that it's in good condition. Of course, I should have sharpened it. But yeah, it seems fine, totally fine. Really great pigmentation on that one. I'm nearly done with this Annabelle Waterline Matte in the shade Mint, so I will be keeping it. Should be done in a matter of like a couple months. The lavender shade I haven't used in a little while, so I want to double check that this is still rich and pigmented. It is, kind of drying out too, yeah. It's so unfortunate. I really need to be better about my pencil liners. This is a good wake-up call. This is the High Vis eyeliner in the shade Strobe Light. What a beautiful shade. Still nice and creamy. I need to remember to reach for this so that I don't let it have the same fate as many of my other liners. And then I have this NYX Slide On Glide On and definitely a turn on waterproof eyeliner. I love this so much. This is the shade Golden Bronze. Such a beautiful shade. I am considering decluttering the Charlotte Tilbury, but I've recently found myself really wanting to get more metallic liners like this one. And I have found that the Charlotte Tilbury kind of fits the bill for that and it doesn't budge on the waterline. So I will be keeping it to kind of fit that need and desire. Yeah, I will be holding on to both of these. This is really, really eye-opening though, that many of these ended up having to be decluttered. Here we've got my kind of tinted lip balms slash lip glosses. And I'm going to be keeping the majority of these. I think I only want to declutter just this one because it is very old. I did buy this, again, I think it was 2018, 2019 quite possibly. This is the Kapari Lip Glossy in the shade Hibiscus. If I open it up, you'll be able to see it's a very tinted kind of lip balm product. And I just don't find myself wanting to reach for this. It deposits a little bit too much pigmentation for my preferences these days. And it is just very old at this point. I don't really think it's a good idea to be putting this on my lips anymore. So I am going to be decluttering this. I believe it's long expired at this point. The remainder of these, however, I think are still pretty good. I got the Merit and the Pout Balm and the Vesca and this Mauve like tinted lip balm in M21 and the NYX Butter Gloss all last year actually as PR. And they're all still really good. I think the Pout Balm is probably my least favorite out of this roundup. It still is a nice lip gloss, so I'm gonna keep all of these. The Kapari Lip Glossy in the shade Birthday Suit is one that I did pick up a few years ago, but I have been reaching for it very consistently as of late, and it still is holding up really well. I love the way it looks on my lips, so I will be keeping all of these here and just decluttering the one. So this here is my lip liner collection, and while I don't think this is excessive, two of them are definitely ready to get rid of, these Bite lip liners here, because they're both really, really old. So this one is the shade 048, which is a purple color, and then this one is 044, which is a chocolate brown. I received this one from Influencer when Bite released this line, 2016, I believe. So I've had 044 for that long, far too long, and then 048 I ended up picking up on my own shortly after I got the lip pencils from Influencer because I really liked this creamy formula, but I've not used very much of it at all because I don't wear purple lips these days. I used to love wearing really bold colors, but that's not really my thing these days, so these are both extremely old, and yeah, it's just time to get rid of them. This is really disappointing, but a good eye-opener for sure for me. I will be holding on to the rest of these, however. This ColourPop one is pretty old as well, but I did wear it recently and found that it still felt really nice. It still smells really good. Yeah, I still really like this. This is Frenchy. I also love Brink, which is currently in my project pan, so I will be holding on to that. And then these ones here are actually relatively new to my collection. 3 of the Melt ones came in my Melt mystery box that I got last Christmas, and they offer a good variety of tones. And then I have this Oma brown lip liner as well. So here we have all of my lipsticks. They're liquid and bullet lipsticks, and I've kind of broken them up into different color stories. So the first one I have here is all by itself. It's the lone green lipstick I have. Why would I have multiples of greens? So this is the Bite Beauty Kale lipstick. I'm definitely gonna be keeping it. Even though it's several years old, I still really enjoy this formula. Then I have my browns. I am wondering if it is finally the year that I'm going to declutter the Kathleen Lights and ColourPop liquid lipstick in the shade 0.0. It is getting so old, and I really want to compare this to some of my other browns. I love this color and I love this formula. So there is a swatch of what 0.0 looks like. It is such a pretty color. I don't think anything is quite like it, but let's see. I think this e.l.f. blushing brown might be kind of comparable. No, it's definitely not it. Definitely not it. The other one that I was thinking that might be similar is this Mauve M60. Oh, it's actually much more like the e.l.f. one. That's well, not something I was expecting. I think I'm gonna keep all three of these. I can't pass on any of these because I love brown lips and these are all just so beautiful. Look at those colors. This one is actually more of a kind of mustard tone. This is Melt Dijon. It is definitely a mustard kind of color. I'm holding on to this just because it's, again, one of those fun, unique shades to wear on occasion. Definitely not an everyday shade, but fun. And I have these two darker browns. This one is the Oma Beauty Nina lipstick. Love it. And then I also have this Melt Catsuit, which I actually haven't worn on my lips yet. So I am going to keep both of these for a darker brown kind of option. These ones here are my kind of oranges to reds kind of colors. I am in love with the formula of this Merit signature lip, so I'm definitely gonna be keeping this one. This is the shade Tiger. Such a beautiful color. This spiced latte from No. 7 is very similar to Tiger, but a little bit more on the brown side, so I'm gonna be keeping that one. You can see I've used up quite a lot of it as well. Definitely gonna be keeping that. This e.l.f. Red Carpet lipstick is so beautiful. It's a like true red with a tiny hint of blue, and it's a very moisturizing, comfortable formula, so love it. Even though it's discontinued, I still want to love on it for a little while longer. This e.l.f. as well is one that I adore. This is the shade Praline. I do find it kind of tugs a little bit on the lips, but I like the color so much, so I'm definitely not going to pass that up. It's kind of like a brown red nude kind of shade. And then this is Bite Scorpio, my fave lipstick, I think, even still. I've had this for many years, but I still love it and it still performs very well, so I'm gonna be holding on to this. However, this red is one that I used to really love, but I think I'm just not into these kinds of tones anymore. This is the ColourPop Bitchette. Yeah, it's just not my kind of red anymore. It's not that flattering on my complexion. I just feel like it just doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, it's really old too. So I'm gonna be decluttering this one actually. I hadn't decluttered any lips yet, so that's good. When it comes to like kind of nude-ish colors, this Merit signature lip, just like the shade Tiger, I really enjoy. This is shade Baby. Definitely will be keeping this one. I will also be keeping these two. These two are kind of just here as like placeholder. Both of these have actually been depotted into other containers. Bare Minerals Notorious and Bite Honeycomb. So I am working my way through both of these. So they're just kind of placeholder at this point in here, but I'm gonna be keeping both of those. I'm thinking I'm gonna keep all four of these nudes. Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, NYX Filler Instinct in the shade Beach Casual, which is more of like a balmy kind of finish. This is Charlotte Tilbury Lucky Diamonds, which is kind of like a sparkly kind of finish, but it's not too heavily sparkly on the lips. It's very flattering actually. And then Charlotte Tilbury Angel Sandra. Love this packaging and love this peachy kind of nude tone on myself. I do have these two that I consider like nude meets coral, and I definitely don't need both of them. This one is the Madame Glam Liar, and it looks really pretty in the bullet. It looks like a very soft coral, but on my lips, it's just not, it's not good. It looks very vibrant and almost like pastel, really unflattering on me personally. And I like it as a cream blush, but you saw I have so many cream blushes. I think it's just time to declutter this one. It's very old. And then this is ZC. It's kind of like a coral meets orange meets nude. This is the shade 923 from the ZC and Picasso collaboration, and it's just so pretty. Look at this packaging. The tone is beautiful of the lipstick as well. So I'll be decluttering this and keeping this one. And then this last little selection here is kind of like my pinks and purple plum kind of shades. This Quo liquid lipstick is a really nice formula. This is the Velvet Kiss liquid lipstick, so it is a little bit of a more comfortable liquid lip, and I do really enjoy it, so I will be keeping this. This is in the shade Soft Linen. This one here is the Essence Sheer and Shine lipstick in the shade BFF. It's a really easy to wear lipstick. I think this is discontinued. I think I want to keep it because it still smells good. It kind of smells like mini eggs, and it's really sheer. So it does offer, you know, a little bit of color payoff, but it's nothing too impactful, but I really like it. So I'm gonna keep it. I'm not doing well with decluttering my lipsticks. I'm gonna get rid of this one, however. I have been thinking about this for a while. This is the Bite Amuse Bouche lipstick in the shade Beetroot. I literally never reach for this because it is so vibrant. I used to really like these kinds of colors. I used to love a good bold lip, but these days, not gonna happen. So I'm gonna get rid of that. I think I'm also gonna get rid of this ColourPop Velvet Blur lipstick in the shade Lucky Strike. When it comes to kind of a nude sort of option, this just is not it for me. I don't find that I want to reach for this at all. It's very, I don't know, cool toned mauve on me, and it's just not my preference. And then this one here is again one of those kind of sheer balmy options, and I really like this still. I should declutter this because I've had it for so freaking long, but I really enjoy this shade. This is the Madame Glam Velvet lipstick in the shade Fig, so I will be keeping this one as well. I definitely saved the best for last because now we're into eyeshadows. These are all of my singles. I have all these ColourPop Super Shock shadows, as well as this Natasha Denona single from the Retro palette. This is the shade Helio. It's a really beautiful color. Definitely gonna be keeping this one. And then for my Super Shocks, I'm nearly done with the shade La La. Can you see how little is left in here? So I'm gonna keep that one for sure. Telepathy is just a tried and true favorite. I don't want to part with this yet. It's a beautiful like greeny kind of gold shade. This one right here is one that I'd love to finish off in time, maybe next year. This is the shade Birthday Cake. It was a limited edition eyeshadow. And then Koosh is an all-time favorite. This is actually a repurchased eyeshadow. I finished one a couple years back and repurchased this one. It's like a metallic taupey kind of shade. Really beautiful. And this one right here is one from a few years back as well. I think I bought this in like 2016 or I think 2016. Oh my goodness. This is the shade Bouncy. I like this in theory, but I absolutely never ever reach for it. And when I put it on the eyes, it doesn't give me what it gives me in the pan, if that makes sense. Like it just kind of pulls as this like dirty bronze shade and not a fun like antique bronze, just not that flattering. So I'm actually gonna be decluttering this one today. And in this D palette, I have all of my depotted ColourPop press powder palettes. I've definitely curated this over the last few years. I've decluttered many because there's always duplicates throughout ColourPop palettes, but I feel like some of these shades are still a little redundant, so I might declutter just a handful. I'm definitely looking at these purples as a selection that I definitely don't need. Like they're very, very similar. So I'm thinking I'm going to declutter the ones that are the oldest and then keep whichever one's the newest. So out of all of these, just looking through them, this is the newest one. It came from the Raw Beauty Christie and ColourPop palette. So I'm gonna keep that, and then I'm gonna get rid of both of these ones, which are actually both from the Pretty Much palette. They're the shades Cool It and Neither Do I. I'm gonna declutter this one too. I just have never wanted to put this on my eyes. This is from the Raw Beauty Christie and ColourPop palette. This is the shade Let It Rain. It is a black with a red shimmer, and I'm not compelled to reach for that whatsoever. I also feel like I probably need to curate down these oranges. I'll just take whichever one is newer. I think this is pretty old, this one. GNO, that's from the Yes Please palette. That's so old. And then this one is Rainer, which is from the Raw Beauty Christie palette. So I'll keep the newer, fresher version of the oranges, but get rid of this one. Even though that's only a few shades, I think this just feels a little bit more manageable and less redundant here. And then I have all of my magnetic singles here. These are all eyeshadows from various brands. I don't want to go through all of them, but I definitely do feel like I'm ready to pass on specifically the Makeup Geek ones. They are just so underwhelming. I purchased some at the end of 2020. Makeup Geek had a really good Black Friday sale and I picked up too many that I don't like. So yeah, like Mandarin right here, this orange just doesn't do anything. It has absolutely no pigmentation to it. Look at that. So yeah, I'm going to be decluttering that one. I feel like it's the exact same case with this Surf's Up and this green as well. Leafing So Soon. They just have absolutely no pigment. I also feel like this shade for me, again, it's a Makeup Geek one. This is the shade Creme Brulee. Doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any pigmentation at all. So yeah, I'm gonna be getting rid of that one. So 4 of the Makeup Geek shadows. And then I have these 2 that are both from ColourPop. I always look into this and think they're so similar. Why do I have both? So I wanna see which one I would prefer. One is called Prowlin and one is called Cakewalk. So Cakewalk has a bit more of a bluey shift to it, I think. The pigmentation is really lacking on that though. And then Prowlin is more of like a lilac, definitely my preferred type of purple. So I'll be keeping Prowlin and getting rid of Cakewalk. Oh my God, am I gonna get rid of all my Makeup Geek shadows? This one is called Take Two. I wanna compare this to Rune from Cleona. So that one's Rune there and that one's Take Two. I just prefer the look of Rune. It's more of like a gold versus like a smoky base like Take Two. So I'm gonna get rid of Take Two as well. I feel like this is a lot more of a manageable kind of color palette here. I almost forgot, I also have my ABH Norvina palette that I turned into a magnetic palette, and I have all of these single shadows that I depotted from it, but I think I want to actually keep all of these. These are the ones that survived. Pretty much only metallics. The mattes were really difficult to get out of this palette, but I think I want to keep all of these. So yeah, not going to be getting rid of any of those. And last but most certainly not least is all of my eyeshadow palettes, and this makes me so happy to see all of these. I feel like this is a really great selection of eyeshadows, but I am ready to part with a handful of them. So let's just go. The first one here is the Sleek Makeup Storm palette. I never really reach for this other than when I'm working on my Pan Those eyeshadows. You can see I have hit pan in several of these shades, but I think that this makes a really nice kind of like grungy metallic palette, but I am going to keep it kind of as a option to possibly declutter just because I don't reach for this outside of that project. I just never ever do. I will be most definitely keeping my Smoke Sessions palette. This is such a beautiful, beautiful palette. Definitely keeping this one. This reflection is gonna get so annoying, so let's just do this now. This is the Fenty Beauty Galaxy Palette. Long discontinued limited edition palette, but I adore it so much and will most definitely be keeping it. I love on this palette so much. It's so pretty. Their formula is amazing. The Natasha Denona Metropolis palette is a tried and true favorite of mine as well. I've had it for just under 2 years now and I love it. So definitely keeping that one. This is one that I mentioned in my Pan Those eyeshadows is on the edge of decluttering, and it is time. This is the Masquerade Mini by Juvia's Place. It is a really pretty palette. It was so much fun when I first brought it into my collection, but the formula has definitely changed over the past few years that I've had it. I've had it for many years. I think I bought this in 2017, possibly 2018. Either way, far too long ago. So yeah, I will be decluttering this one. And it's kind of sad, like it feels like the end of an era because this was my first Juvia's Place palette. But yeah, I feel like it's due time for sure. This e.l.f. and J. Kissa To The Rescue palette is a really fun rainbow palette. Although it's not my favorite formulation, I do think that it's nice to have the like array of the rainbow kind of in a curated palette altogether. And these metallics are very, very nice. So, whoops, I will be holding on to this one. And here we have Urban Decay Born to Run. This is one that I've always said is not my favorite in my collection. And although I don't think it's a favorite, it's one that I do really appreciate and do enjoy reaching for. So yeah, definitely will be holding on to this one. ABH Modern Renaissance It's pretty well loved looking, and I haven't found that this formula has changed too much. I know that this palette can expire for some people, but I haven't noticed any kind of decline in the formula, even though I've had this for several years. So I will be holding on to this. This is the ZC and the British Museum Alice in Wonderland palette. I have not really used this very much whatsoever, but I love Alice in Wonderland. Look at this packaging too. It's so pretty. So pretty. I want to keep this just sheerly for the packaging. But yeah, this palette looks like a lot of fun. I will literally never use that pressed glitter, but yeah, it's a really fun looking little palette. So I'm definitely gonna keep this one. The e.l.f. Mad for Matte palette. This is one that I've been reaching for recently, and you can see it's not really that well used at all, and I've had it in my collection for a long time, and I think that's a sign that I'm not really going to reach for it, especially as it is getting older. So I'm ready to declutter this one. The Oma Beauty Black Magic palette. Oh my god, it's so pretty. Definitely not gonna declutter this. I love this color story so much. Definitely keeping that. Gemini is a favorite of mine as well. We all know this. So yeah, keeping that one for sure. Millennial Pinks is my newest eyeshadow palette, and I got this from the Melt Mystery Box, and I have used it a handful of times. So far, it's not my favorite kind of color story. I'm not really big into pinks, but I do like it. The Catrice X Iman eyeshadow palette. What is this called? Bronzed AF. This is no longer available, but this is such a great little curated color palette. Love, love, love all the metallics and mattes in here, so keeping that one. This one is the ZC and the British Museum palette. This is the Eye of Horus one. I think I'm going to actually declutter this. I did use this earlier this year in my Pan Those eyeshadows, and I was able to use pretty much every eyeshadow when I was focusing on it. And although it's really pretty, this shade in particular is really pretty, I think I have people in my life who might actually prefer to use this or like get way more use out of it than myself. So I'm gonna declutter this one. This here is the Catrice Basic Bay palette. This is a great little palette. I'm honestly not sure if this is still available. I think so, but it just is a great little neutrals palette. I really like the shade selection and the formulation in here, really easy to work with. So I will be keeping that one. I'm also definitely gonna be keeping my Nabla Soul Blooming palette. Oh my gosh, such a stunner, such a stunner. Definitely keeping my Subculture. I don't think I'll ever be able to get rid of this palette. It's so inspiring, so exciting to me. I love this color story. And the Juvia's Place, the Magic Mini, this is a favorite of mine as well. This is just such a good selection of shadows. Beautiful selection of undertones. These stickers are from my e.l.f. and J. Kissa to the Rescue palette, by the way, but I just love this palette, so I'm gonna keep this one. This one is one that I'm not ready to part with either. This is the Zulu by Juvia's Place. Although I don't think I would pick this up nowadays with all of these bright colors, and especially considering the size of the pans, I do want to continue to reach for this, and I'm really happy to see that I've hit pan on 4 of the 9 shades, so I'd like to kind of continue on that trajectory and try to pan all of these shades eventually. And now that I've gone through all of my palettes and I've seen all the ones that I love on, I think I'm ready to declutter this little one. This is the Sleek palette. Yeah, I think it's time. These shades are pretty and fun, but you know what, compared to all the other ones, this doesn't really stand out. And with that, this is everything that I'm going to be decluttering from my collection today. My goodness, this feels like a big weight has been lifted. I'm really feeling so invigorated and so happy with the state of my collection, considering these are things that I don't often reach for, I'm not inspired by, I don't really enjoy the formula of, so it's going to be really nice to part ways with all of these products and move on forward with products that I just love and can't wait to use. So yes, that is everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.